Hello, and welcome to another episode of Starting Strong. Per usual, I am Dr. Carolyn Strong, and I am here to present you with some conversation starters. And lucky you, you do not have to listen to me prattle on for 5 minutes because I have a guest today. Hi, welcome. Who are you?
Hi, my name is Dr. Tiffany Monfort Dent. I'm a licensed psychologist. I specialize in children, adolescents, and women.
So, having said that, today I want to have, I guess, what the world calls a courageous conversation, but what I call Tuesday. Um, we often skate around the idea of talking about race and race relations with our kids. I personally don't feel like I have a choice in that matter with my children because they are black. Um, but that's me. So what I want to do is just to put some things out there for people who may be struggling with how to start that conversation or how to have that conversation in a kid friendly way.
I think the first thing is to recognize if you have Black children, um, it is a matter of survival. Emotional and physical survival to have these conversations with your children in a world that is constantly going to judge them and treat them often unfairly based upon the fact that they're Black children. I think when it comes to other children, such as white children, it's a point of privilege that you don't have to have these conversations because they're not necessarily going to be the ones who bear the brunt of the negative impact that comes with race relations conversations. I think part of it is the conversations are ongoing conversations that are happening at different points in your children's lives. I think when people start with, well, I want to raise my child not to see color, you're setting your child up for heartbreak because the world does see it and the world responds to it. And the concern is if you don't tell and have the conversation with your kids that you are a Black child and the world is at times going to treat you unfairly simply because of that, not because of anything that you've done. If you have your child believing you're just human, and when then the world responds to them in a negative light based solely because of their color, your children are then going to internalize that there's something wrong with them that they have done when it's not them, but it's the world around them. So I think from the very beginning, having the conversations about what it means to be Black in America is important for Black children. Some of that is also just that initial exposure to children's books that have these conversations, watching television shows that are kind of framed within Blackness. Having those history lessons that they're not going to get in school about what this world looks like for Black people and doing it based upon their developmental and cognitive levels. But it's not a conversation, it's unfair to your children to not have that conversation until they're an adult. It's sort of like you're born with teeth. You never have to brush them. And then the day when their teeth start falling out, you're like, wait a second, let's begin to talk about oral hygiene. No, you have teeth, you have to take care of them. Let's look at what that looks like. If you don't, this is what happens. And we continue this practice. As you get older, you floss yourself. So it's like this, you're going to the dentist at a certain age because this is what happens. And so it's this ongoing preparation of your children to safely, emotionally, and physically navigate a world that is not safe for them, often just because of what they look like.
I think for me, one of the things that I've always dreaded as a parent is leaving my child underprepared
Mm-hmm.
or unprepared and just kind of sending them out into the world and not having emotionally prepared them for what may come, especially in this time of social media
Mm-hmm.
where, I mean, dead black folks are literally a hashtag a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we reconcile that when we aren't really in control of the narrative anymore if they're on social media?
And I think it's exactly what you said in terms of preparing. You're doing a disservice to your children if you're not having these ongoing conversations. Because then when those images are coming up, you're already having discussions about police brutality. You're already having discussions about when people talk about all lives matter, when we're talking about Black lives. Like these are conversations you've been having. And then it's going to be like, remember when mommy said, and so it also lets the kids know that you are an expert, which we as parents like to be viewed as by our children, because when you're like, remember when mommy told you? I predicted that these things were going to happen. And so when they're beginning to happen, you're not feeling as out of control or fearful because, oh, my mom told me that, yes, these are the things that happen. It's just like when we talk about having the talk with our children, unfortunately, about how do you engage with law enforcement, and that, Michaela, that's different for you than
Mm-hmm.
it is for your little friend. And what she's doing and, yelling and screaming and telling them that you can't get away with that. And so when those interactions are happening, it's remember what mommy told you, that but at the same time, acknowledging it's unfair. It should not be this way. That on one hand, I'm going to assist you in figuring out how to deal with racial injustice to keep you safe emotionally and physically. But at the same time, I'm giving you the message this is unfair and that we also need to advocate and do things to make it change. So I'm building resilience, but at the same time, I'm showing you how to be resistant. So both of those things are important, and we need to instill both of those in our children.
Well, as always, conversation with you is always amazing. But before we go, how can people find you?
Well, my name is Dr. Tyffani. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. And it's at Dr. Tyffani, DrTyffani. You can also find me on my website, which is MonfordDentConsulting.com.
Well, thank you so much.
You are
You
welcome.
have a
Thank
great day.
you too.